I'm Allan Adler, and I'm managing partner of Digital Bridge. And we are a consultancy that's also an agency that helps technology industrial companies with their go-to-market strategy, with their alliances and partnering strategies, and helping to execute on the goals that they set for their sales and marketing agendas. You know, there's a challenge with alliances because anytime a company wants to work with another company, there's always that question of like, do I really need to, let my guard down, share my IP, and engage others? But notwithstanding the challenges of trying to find that fit, it's now believed that alliances are associated with some 25 or 30% of all enterprise revenue. So if you run the numbers on that, alliances are directly resulting in trillions of dollars of value. So they are the mechanism for growth. Fundamentally, every C-suite executive's #1 priority is growth, and alliances are showing to be a powerful mechanism to drive a higher level of growth than we could get without them. So fundamentally, they're growth drivers. If you think about it from the standpoint of two data points, one, 30% of revenue is directly connected to alliances, and something like 60 to 90% of the alliances fail. You run those numbers for a second and imagine what would happen if the numbers were flipped and 60 to 90% of alliances were successful, and alliances would account for 80% of revenue growth, which means that the opportunity cost on the table is huge from the failure of alliances to execute. And that's the reason why you don't see alliance representation at the C-suite, because at the end of the day, there's so much failure and so difficult challenges improving results, in establishing the ROI and showing the connection between, we have this great partnership with X, we put all this money in, can you show me exactly what I got out of it? And when the alliance professional kind of wiggles in his chair and says, well, there's influence, then he scoots back and makes room for the people that have hard ROI discussions, like the CMO or the COO or the CFO. Unfortunately, we don't yet see about the chief partnering officer. We've yet to show a repeatable, scalable alliances execution model that would allow someone to put their hat on the hard ROI pedal and say, give me more money and I'll get you more results. Like marketing went through that, right? Marketing automation had the same problem. The chief marketing officer was born when he was able to put a hard ROI on digital marketing, whereas before it was like, no one's going to sit around the table and say, I don't like that color of fuchsia. It's like, leave that to the creative people. We have business to do here. Where alliances fail is in the last mile. And I use the analogy of like global. Anybody that runs a big company knows that you have the global business, you've got the regional business, and then you have the local business. And almost all strategic alliances are formed at a global level. And then guess what happens when it gets to the region, or even worse, to the market unit, or the local country, if you will, is they don't know about it. They aren't privy to the decisions that went into the forming of the alliance. They haven't built the alliance structure into their go-to-market or their marketing or their sales or their solutioning. And inevitably, they do what they want the way they want to. So you end up with this, global, developed, locally ignored phenomenon. And essentially, that's why the last mile, it's like if you run a 25-mile marathon and then you have T, you don't win an award. And alliances is a classic. It's probably not quite 25 miles, but the first 20 miles get run pretty well. The last 6 miles just suck. There is no engagement platform for alliances. Alliances have always been, we call it managing by spreadsheet. I have never seen a spreadsheet engage in anything. It's basically a way of tracking things after the fact on the conference call. Oh, what did you do? What deal did you work? But because there's no engagement platform, alliances are hard to do and hard to track, hard to measure, hard to see, hard to validate. And when you have a good engagement platform, a couple things happen. Number one, it becomes fun to do alliances. And number two, you can achieve the goal you just said, which is no longer company A and B. Now it's company A, B, C, and D in combinations of A with E with B and C in that part of the country, and D and A and F in this part of the country. Imagine trying to organize that in an old-fashioned top-down command and control program. Forget it. You have to have an engagement platform that facilitates easy identification of opportunity, easy endorsement of opportunities. Like, I want to share this with you. Bang, let's partner. And that's what WorkSpan does.